Hi, it's Olga. Today I'll be making a house-shaped Christmas card. I will also be showing you how I saved this card when something went wrong and how I fixed some mistakes. So let's get started. To create a card base for a shaped card, I recommend using a medium weight cardstock or patterned paper. So I'm going to fold this sheet of paper in half. By the way, this one is 8.5 by 11. A4 will work just as fine. I'll be trimming it down anyway. To create a house, I'll be using the dies from two die sets. They are Elegant Lantern and Perfect Castle. These two sets do coordinate, so you can create a lot of different projects by combining the dies in different ways. I've die cut the different shapes using the white cardstock as well as the milk one. For the dome, I'll be using the gold mirror cardstock. So I'm taping down the roof die onto the piece of gold mirror cardstock, and I'm going to use that decorative insert as well. This one is the part of the lantern die set and it creates the negative pattern. As always, the tools and supplies that I'm using are listed down below in the description as well as on my blog. So this is the shape that we are going to get, and by the way, I'm going to keep all the cutout swirls since they are great for decorating all types of projects like cards and tags and gift bag and boxes. To create the window for my house, I'm going to die cut through two layers of cardstock at one go. So I'm taking the white base and the cream panel, and I'm using a couple of pieces of washi tape to hold them together. Then I'll be using this arched window die, and this one is from the Nutcracker collection. I'm going to tape it down onto my panel, and then I'm going to sand it all through the die cutting machine. Once I have it die cut, I'm going to remove the negative pieces, and then I'm going to separate the two panels. This particular window die only cuts out a negative pattern and does not have the outline, but it's easy to fix. I'm just going to use the scissors and cut around the window. Since all those die sets are meant to create the 3D pieces, and for now I'm going with just a flat card, I'm going to trim off all the tabs at the sides of the details. As for the golden dome, I'm also going to trim off all the little tabs at the right side, and I'm also going to remove the very top part of the roof. Now let's quickly put the house together. That is pretty simple to do. I'm going to apply some glue onto the arch panel, and then I'm going to stick it down onto the window. Next, I will be applying some adhesive onto the tab on the roof, and I'm going to attach it to the house as well. If you would like to add some kind of view behind the window, it's better to do it right now. That is going to save you a lot of work in future. I forgot to do that, so I had to look for other solutions. Next, I'm going to apply some glue onto the house at the wrong side, and then I'm going to attach it to the card base. As I am attaching the house, I'm making sure that I line up the left side with the fold of the card. It's also convenient to line up the bottom. Once the glue is dry, I'm going to trim off all extra cardstock around the house. I'm going to leave some space just above the house because I'm planning to attach more details. And then I'm trimming down the right side of the card. As for the roof, I'm cutting it out using the scissors, and I'm leaving some space at the top. By the way, this is the reason why I recommend using medium weight cardstock or the pattern paper for the card base, because it's easy to cut through both layers this way and you will get a nice clean cut. This battlement detail is from the Perfect Castle die set, and it coordinates perfectly with the lantern die that I'm using to create this house. So I'm trimming off the tab at the bottom, then I'm applying some glue at the space above the roof, and I'm sticking down the battlement. I'm also going to add more detail between the walls and the roof, and this is why I need all these die cuts. I'm applying the glue at the tab above the arch, and then I'm sticking down the battlements. Then I'm going to add a couple more die cuts on top of this one, just to create more dimension. It's not going to add too much bulk to the card, it will still be mailable, but that creates a nice texture. Then I'm flipping over this detail, adding some glue, and I'm sticking it down between the walls and the roof, just like this. At this point I decided that this house looks a bit too tall, so I'm going to trim off the details from the top, and I'm only going to leave a white strip about 1/4 of an inch thick. At this point I could call my card done, but this window looks a bit too empty for me. So I decided to create another window and stick it down on top of this one. I've die cut the window using the same die, and now I'm going to back up this die with the scratch piece of pattern paper. So I'm applying some glue onto the window and I'm sticking it down. Then again I'm using the scissors to cut around the window and remove all paper that is hanging off the edge. I'm attaching this window onto the card right on top of the first window using the liquid glue. This piece of pattern paper is from the very old set by Graphic 45 called St. Nicholas. I decided to add this one inside the card, so now I'm creating the tag shape out of it. I'm attaching it inside the card, and this is going to provide more sturdiness to my card base. If I want to add a personal message, I still have plenty of space at the left side. Now it's time to add the sentiment. I'll be using the Merry Christmas stamp from Fabulous Fairies stamp set. Small stamps like this one are perfect if you don't have a lot of space for the sentiment. I'm going to add my phrase right above the window. At this point again I could have called my card done, but I really don't like how this vintage red works with the rest of the card. It now looks too pale for it, so I had to change something. I'm going to change the cream background for the vintage green one, and to detach the window I'm using the metal spatula. That's my favorite tool for this kind of work. It's thin and firm and it's easy to get underneath the die cuts. Use the same panel die that I used for the cream background, and I've die cut this piece out of green pattern paper. Now I'm applying some glue and I'm going to tuck it underneath the arch, and I'm going to line up the bottom of the panel with the bottom of the card. Then I'm applying some glue underneath the arch and I'm sticking it back down. The needle applicator bottle is a very convenient tool for it. And then I'm attaching the window back onto the house. Remember the golden swirls that I decided to keep? They are the leftovers from the roof. I decided to use some of the smaller ones and attach them at the white piece above the window. I'm trimming down the flourishes with the scissors when necessary, and I'm attaching them with the liquid glue. And at this point I just couldn't stop changing my card, and I decided to kind of paint the swirls on the roof green as well. So I used the same decorative insert that I used on the roof, and I've die cut the flourishes out of green paper, the same one that I used for the walls, and now I'm applying some glue inside each swirl and I'm sticking down the corresponding green one on top of it. Some of the swirls are kind of behind the battlements, so again I used the spatula to lift up that die cut, and I'm tucking each swirl behind it. And at this point finally I can call the card done. It took me much longer than I expected, but I'm glad I found solutions for the problems that I faced. So that was the day 13 project of my 25 Days of Christmas series. The next one is coming out really soon, so stay tuned for that. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful day.